great figures of her time, but she saw them not as creatures of history or fate, merely as beings whose human significance lay in their intimate relation to herself. Thus, Disraeli was less a statesman than the man who rode to hounds beside her, in yellow trousers and black-button boots. And Queen Victoria, for all Aunt Sass's ardent royalism, was chiefly remarkable for the fact that she preferred salt on her oatmeal to sugar, just like your great-grandmother. Her historical facts were equally piquant and irrelevant. Having presided, as it were, almost at the inception of a great commonwealth, the things she remembered best were its small domestic oddities. That fish and milk carts were drawn by dogs because of the scarcity of horses, and that people going out to dinner parties, even to Government House, carried their own bread with them. She never explained the reason for the latter custom, and it was not till later that the vision of Aunt Sass setting out for Government House, all lace and taffeta, with a loaf of bread under one arm, ceased to be funny. Brooding over her reminiscences, I realized that in those days the clearings in the bush must still have been small and scanty. Much time and energy are necessary to make wattle and eucalyptus give way to wheat and rye. Bread, therefore, must have been infinitely precious. But most exciting of her reminiscences was one that told how, wine being costly and difficult to obtain, many low persons, of whom Aunt Sass could have known only by hearsay, drank methylated spirits, and this to such excess that they had only to strike a match for their lips to flare up in blue flame. And many of them, Aunt Sass would conclude disgustedly, many of them women. We trembled deliciously at the picture, imagining row upon row of women burning like candles in their doorways. Aunt Sass, it was rumored, had once been in love with a prominent member of the government of that day. He was her cousin, and for this reason it was said she would not, or felt she could not, marry him. Nobody knew the rights of this story, for she kept her own secrets closely. The rumour and the pictures it projected were springboards for innumerable family witticisms. Aunt Sass in love! Think of it! Nevertheless, for me there was something about her, something that breathed through the tough outer body, an air, a scent, a whisper, the unmistakable essence of one whom love has struck on the heart. Occasionally, in an old barn, you become aware, though the scent has long since vanished, that once there were apples in the loft. Aunt Sass was like that. But though she remained unmarried, her spinsterhood never succeeded in damming up her activities. She was a born ancestress and matriarch, and used the children and grandchildren of her brothers and sisters for her own dynastic purposes. Each new child was taken to be looked over by Aunt Sass, much as the children of old were carried to the temple to be blessed. If the child pleased her, its future was assured. In spite of the fact that she had two brothers, Aunt Sass assumed the position and privileges of head of the family when her father died, and retained them until she herself followed him to the vault. She was like the central shaft of a merry-go-round. When her whistle blew, the family revolved about her like so many wooden horses. Only the hardiest had courage to flout that fierce face and the deep voice like the sound of a bass viol. But these had their reward, for they were the ones who came nearest to her heart. She respected courage above all things, and from behind that belligerent exterior would watch it with a heart melting with pride and gentleness. But if anybody hinted at the existence of such sentiment, she would go to the most devious lengths to deny it. She not only did good and blushed to find it fame, she did good and was ready to vilify anybody who discovered it. It was her habit to disapprove of all suggestions and projects on